Hi, my name is Sabrina Oro. I am a third year at Cal Poly and I identify as a Christian. So I don't really know what branch of Christianity I am specifically, but I would say personally I identify as a liberal Christian because there are so many things in the Bible I think were written at a time that is very different from ours, and I think as much as the Bible is, the law of the religion, it's also open to interpretation. So I take a lot of the things in the Bible as kind of a face value and determine my own deeper meaning based on that in my personal relationship with God. So my dad grew up in Sardinia, Italy, and in Italy, you're pretty much Catholic everywhere. So he was raised pretty Catholic. My mom grew up in Santa Ana, California, in Orange County, and she was raised Christian. Again, I'm not really sure what branch it was, but a tradition they had there was they would sing hymns fairly often, and they would do communion every single Sunday. So both of them came from more religious backgrounds, I would say, than I do. So a lot of my religious identification does come from them. From a very young age, they would take me to church. We used to go to the church that my mom went to growing up, but then it was too far away. So for a couple years, we went from church to church until we found one that we liked. The one that we ended up going to was, I would say, kind of a modern church. They had a lot of traditional beliefs, but they would create their own more modern hymns, and they would talk about religion and how it relates to our calm society rather than just regurgitating the old stories. And from there, I kind of developed my own beliefs. There were a lot of things in the Bible that I understood why they were there, but I didn't necessarily agree with. And talking to my parents about them, we just kind of decided that you don't have to take everything in the Bible as a fact. And I think, like a lot of my personal beliefs associated with that do come from growing up in California because it is such a liberal state. And so politically, I'm very liberal, and as a person, I have very firm standards for inclusivity and for open-mindedness, and so I've used that to kind of make my religion catered to myself and make it more about that idea of inclusivity and love. And I think that's what Jesus was really talking about, and what people often forget because they get so obsessed with what the word says exactly. So when I was very, very young, I was extremely religious, I would say. I still consider myself very religious, but in a very different way. So when I was little, I very much believed that if you didn't fully believe in God and Jesus, and if you didn't pray to him every day, you would be like just smited right then and there and just go to hell. And so I remember one time at lunch, someone said something like, I don't believe in God, or I don't believe in Jesus, and I got under the lunch table and started praying for them because I didn't want a thunderbolt to come out of the sky and hit them. But that's definitely changed. Now I kind of view worship as something wonderful and important, but not something that's always necessary. My personal belief is that, God knows me and knows my heart and knows I love him, and I don't need to tell him every day because he knows. And now, I still pray every night, but I wouldn't say I worship every day, and not because I don't love God, but because God knows I love him and I don't need to show him every day. So I think coming to college has affected my religion in both positive and negative ways. When I was in middle school, I was extremely involved in my church, and I would go every single week, and I was really connected to my church group and really viewed church as a second home. Unfortunately, into high school, my schedule got way more busy, and it made it very difficult for me to go to church every single week, and what kind of happened was I was no longer part of my high school church group, and you know, they weren't trying to, but people wouldn't really include me in things because they didn't really know who I was. And I thought that was very against the teachings of church and kind of ironic, but it made it even more discouraging to go to church. But I would keep going, and what really brought me back into church in high school was I started going to life groups. So basically every Wednesday night I would go to someone's house who went to my church, and we do a Bible study, and there was like a small group of girls that I would always be with, and we became very close, and it really made me more grounded in my religion. And you know, that's really fed into now in college as I've moved away. Again, I'm kind of in this weird limbo where I don't really have one church that I call my home, because I almost feel like I've graduated from my previous church. You know, even though it had nothing to do with my high school, I've gone there since a very young age, but I feel like, you know, God wants something else for me, if you will. And right now I don't really have a church. I don't go to church, but I still have a relationship with God, and I don't think I have as many opportunities to learn more about Him. But I think right now I need to learn a little bit more about myself in order for me to learn more about God. And in the future, I do hope to find some sort of central thing or place. I don't think it necessarily has to be a church that will ground me in my religion more, because I think that's what I'm lacking right now. But I feel confident enough in my love of God, and you know, I have enough faith that I don't need to show anyone that I'm a devout person by going to church, because I know how I feel, God knows how I feel, and life's gonna keep going on whether I go to church or not.